Let's get into the story here about Gen Z. I've been telling you guys for quite some time that college is too expensive and that more people are refusing to, inherit student loan debt. And I can't blame them. I have student loan debt. If I could do it all over again, things would be different. But now there is new information that has been released by the Wall Street Journal about Gen Z actually choosing to abandon college altogether in trade for something else. Now, I want to start out with this clip here called Millennials and Gen Z are regretting their college degree. I want you to hear just about some of their experiences in reference to the debt that they have acquired for these degrees and just regretting it altogether. Listen to this.
And this is the exact reason why most young people that I know, when they ask me, should I go to college and university straight out of high school? I always say no, because post-secondary education is an investment, and most of you don't know yourself well enough to make that investment wisely. And ironically, you're going to get to know yourself in the college and university setting, but you're going to be spending tens of thousands of dollars to do it, when you could be doing it somewhere else and not spending that money by simply getting a job that you don't love but you don't hate so that you can afford to move out of your parents' place and experience the world. That will allow you that sense of growth and self-realization that you could have had on a college campus, and you don't have to spend all that money and time to do it. Life feels short, but realistically it's long. And as long as you're moving forward in some capacity, you're going to get to where you want to go. You don't need to figure out your career straight out the gate.
What is the biggest waste of money?
A 4-year degree. And to be honest with you, that's probably one of my biggest regrets, because you spend the first 2 years and a lot of extra money taking courses that for a lot of people you just took in high school. And sometimes these are courses that have nothing to do with the degree that you were seeking.
Pause. Yes, honey. Yes, I agree. And that was one of my biggest pet peeves. Why do you have to spend the first 2 years, depending on the college you go to? I think it's different for people that went to like engineering schools, like MIT is a little bit different, but that's more specialized. But for those of us that go to the typical traditional 4-year university, it didn't make sense to me. The first 2 years I had to spend taking all these core classes. And I'm like, didn't I just take these classes in high school? Why are we taking these again? And then on top of that, they're like, you can't take classes within your major until your junior year. What the fuck am I here for then? Because the way I kind of looked at it is though, instead of taking those core classes in the first 2 years, I could just jump right into my actual major. And then it's no longer 4 years of college. It's just 2 years. That's just another way for universities to make more money. Do you really need to take algebra again? Do you really need to take US history again? Do you really need to take biology and biolab again? No. I mean, has the science changed in reference to what a cell looks like? Think about those things. Another way for them to make money.
I was an English major. I'm a finance writer. And of all the companies that I've worked with over the years as a freelancer, to my knowledge, and these are companies that pay good money, to my knowledge, only one company has ever required a degree. Most of the time, the only thing that they care about is that I know how to write and that I know about money. Looking back, I could have bypassed the entire degree and simply taken a few writing classes.
What's something that's clearly a scam but Americans have been conditioned to believe is normal?
Ooh, I have a good one. Telling 17-year-old kids that they need to go to college if they want to be successful, and then saying, oh, even if you can't afford it, no big deal. Here is a student loan for you. It's okay. You don't pay it back till you have a degree. It'll be deferred until you're out of college. Then when you get out of college, you either can't get a job in your field, or the job that you can get in your field pays you $14 an hour, and you can't afford the crippling student loan debt that you were encouraged to get to be able to get the degree that you don't even want, because by the end of college you're so burnt out and you hate everything that you can't even use the stupid thing, and you can't afford your student loan debt. And then you have people saying, well, why'd you get student loans? When I went to college, I worked my way through college. You're just a lazy, entitled brat. Yeah, when you went to college, college was $12 and a piece of toast.
She's right on the button here, right on the button. And it's also true, too. This is another thing that I also had a problem with. You know, I, too, and some of you, if you're in the millennial age bracket, My guidance counselors told us in high school that if we wanted to be successful, if we wanted to actually become middle class, remember that was a thing, middle class as an adult, that we had to go to college and we had to get a degree in order to get those jobs that were going to pay a middle class income, right? Boy, was that a lie. And what a failure. Right. But that's what we were preached. That's what they told us, you guys. And so a lot of us believed that, and we did that, and we followed what our guidance counselors told us to do. And then we got out there in the real world and we're like, what? You want to pay me $9.50 an hour? My first job offer when I graduated undergrad was $8.50 an hour. I was like, are you kidding me? That's not what it's supposed to be. Is it still worth it today?
So, anybody want to donate to my student loans?
So what do you do for work?
So I got my degree in behavioral analysis and the study of female whales, specifically in the Atlantic Ocean, with a specialty in plant development on the east shore of the Mississippi coast.
So what do you do with that degree?
So I sell jewelry.
Oh.
Yeah, it's great. And I feel like my degree really helps me with that.
Are we getting degrees for nothing?
No, not nothing, but degrees have less value than they did 10 years ago. The reason for it is because everything is free and learnable on the internet. Companies don't really care anymore how you got that information. They just want to know, do you have the skills we're looking for? That means if you went to a 4-year degree and got those skills, or if you didn't go to school and you got those skills from the internet, it's pretty much the same thing now. But where college does have the advantage is your network, some structure, just a break for 4 years.
A bachelor's degree in 2023 is what a high school diploma was in the 80s.
You're not crazy, and you are completely correct, and it's a multitude of different reasons, primarily being something called academic inflation. What is academic inflation? Essentially, it's the increased need from employers to have higher education for positions that don't really require them. A good example of this was my mother was director of human resources and personnel for over 30 years, with Marriott Hotels. And eventually in the early 2000s, she was forced out of her position. This is a woman who'd been general manager, a senior HR executives for years until they finally decided that they needed people with degrees.
That's right. Now go ahead and stop it there and we'll bring in that article. Another example that I want to give you when I graduated undergrad was Verizon, right? So there are Verizon call centers. These are pretty huge in the South. I graduated from the University of South Carolina. Verizon was one of the companies that would come to the career fairs, right? So the only requirement was that you had to have a bachelor's degree. So many of the people I know that went to work for Verizon did so not necessarily because of the pay, but because of the benefits and the perks. They were guaranteed health insurance. They also got like a discounted phone. New phones came out. They got it. They would also get bonuses and perks and things like that, yada, yada. But it's a call center. And I worked at a call center when I was in college, when I was in undergrad. I didn't have to have a bachelor's degree to do it then. So again, that was another example of a company that I felt like they made that requirement in order to weed out the number of applications. But you don't need a bachelor's degree to work at a call center, particularly Verizon. But this is the article that is making all the buzz, ladies and gentlemen. This is from the Wall Street Journal, how Gen Z is becoming the tool belt generation. Brace yourselves, folks. The times are changing. Let's get into it. America needs more plumbers, and Gen Z is answering the call. Long beset by a labor crunch, the skilled trades are newly appealing to the youngest cohort of American workers, many of whom are choosing to leave the college path. Rising pay and new technologies in the field, from welding to machine tooling, are giving trade professions a facelift, helping them shed the image of being dirty, low-end work. You know what, guys? For the ladies listening, you know where you can make a lot of money? Welding, particularly if you are a female. Apparently there is a need for women welders. No kidding, guys. No kid. Growing skepticism about the return of a college education, the cost of which has soared in recent decades, is adding to their shine. Enrollment in vocational training programs is surging as overall enrollment in community college and four-year institutions has fallen. Yes, This is what I'm talking about. This is what needs to happen. If you want to make these universities lower the cost of tuition, you can continue to cancel student debt as much as you want. But if there is no accountability put on the universities and they'll continue to increase tuition, nothing's going to change. You're still going to have to take out student loans, particularly if you're not coming from a wealthy family that can pay 4 years of tuition, right? But if enrollment is declining at these 4-year institutions, then eventually they'll have no choice but to decrease the cost of tuition. I know. I worked at them for over a decade. I know how the business model works. I'm telling you where they get all this money from. And one of the things they really stress and put pressure on is the enrollment numbers. So if the enrollment numbers are not good, that's not good for the university. You have to look at it this way. The students are customers. The university is a business. It really is. So if there is a decrease in customers, the business is going to decline. They're going to take a hit. They're going to have to make adjustments in order to make a profit. That's how you make them accountable. It goes on to say here, the number of students enrolled in vocational focused community colleges rose 16% last year to its highest level since the National Student Clearinghouse began tracking such data in 2018. The ranks of students studying construction rose 23% during that time, while those in programs covering HVAC and vehicle maintenance and repair increased 7%. These are things that you may not think about if you don't need these services at the point in time, but at some point you probably will. If you have a problem with your heating and air conditioning, you might need to contact someone from the HVAC. You need someone who knows how to work with that. Vehicle maintenance. I don't know how to fix a car. I don't know how to fix any of those things. Only thing I know how to do with a car is change the oil. So you're going to need someone that knows how to do that. These trades are very important. It is a really smart route for kids who want to find something and aren't gung-ho on going to college, says Tanner, who's 20, who graduated from a 9-month welding program last fall. Check it out, guys. Just imagine this could be you. For the younger people watching, this could be you. Imagine if you get to weld. And you can tell all your friends, check me out, guys. I got welding gear and shit. You can get all excited about it. Watch me weld, fam. Look, they even have on their helmet here. It says Pipe Gang. Think about it. They'd originally, though he'd originally figured he'd go to college, the route began to feel less appealing during the pandemic when he watched his parents, both tech workers, gaze at their computers all day and realized he didn't like the idea of spending his life seated before a screen. Let's go up here. A secure job track and the prospect of steadily growing earnings didn't hurt either. After 5 years at the profession, he says he expects to make 6-figure annual income. Let's highlight this piece right here. After 5 years, he's expected to make a 6-figure annual income. How many of you can say that with the current positions that you have now? I'll wait. Right. That's what I thought. So that is awesome, you guys. That is huge. Now, peep this. You don't want too many people rushing to do this at one time, because here's the con about that. Certain industries can become oversaturated. And don't forget, these blue collar jobs are no different. If everybody all of a sudden starts to rush to be a construction worker or a welder or to work in plumbing, all of a sudden those fields will become oversaturated too. So we got to do this in some kind of way that it doesn't oversaturate that field. And then people find themselves, well, I can't get into this field anymore again. That's what happened with law. The legal profession became oversaturated, and now there's online lawyers. So some people don't feel like they even need to contact a lawyer that went to law. Anyway, some of these things you can figure out for yourself online. Law became oversaturated. I remember when I lived in North Carolina, nursing became oversaturated. The teaching profession became oversaturated, although at the same time we're losing teachers, so it's kind of weird. But you don't want something like that to happen either. It goes on to say it feels good at the end of the day. I'm physically doing something and there's a sense of completion. Look at him smiling. Check him out. Worker shortage. There is a shortage of skilled tradespeople brought on by older electricians, plumbers, and welders retire, is driving up the cost of labor as many sticker shock homeowners embarking on repairs and renovations in recent years have found. This is true. The median pay for new construction hires rose to 5.1% to 48,000 over 48,000 last year. By contrast, new hires in professional services earned an annual 39,520, up to 2.7% from 2022. So guys, this is great. Like I love seeing this because I've told you guys before, college is not for everyone. And I have gotten past the days of telling people you should go to college just because. No, you shouldn't go just because. I wish people never told that to other people either, right? You should just go just because. Oh, if you don't know what you want to do, you should go to college. No, you shouldn't. Because if you don't know what you want to do when you go to college and you have to take all the student loan debt, and let's say you graduate from college and you still don't really know what you want to do, now you got all this debt and you didn't know what you wanted to do. So what did you pay for? No. And we need to look at the economy in reference to what millennials and Gen Z are dealing with right now. Check this out.
But many people are not feeling the positive vibes.
I see $400 going towards my student loans, and I see $545 going for HOA, and I see groceries averaging about $150 a week. Sure, maybe for my wife's retirement portfolio, it might be looking great, but we need to get there first, right? On Saturday, we heard how MetLife Stadium is preparing for the World Cup final.
Danny Navarro did not plan to be a TikTok creator.
If FIFA decided to sell tickets for the 2026...
That was not his goal when he graduated with a history degree on a scholarship from the University of Virginia and started working at a nonprofit.
I was at...
Pause before he tells you his story. A couple of things I want to point out. The University of Virginia, UVA, that's a top school. It's a public school, but it's a public university that's a top school, similar to UNC Chapel Hill, also a public university, but it's a top school. That's a really good school that he went to, okay? He also had a scholarship, okay? I don't know if it was a full scholarship, but he had a scholarship. Listen to the jobs that he ended up with. Listen to this.
The $60,000 mark of my salary, and the only way that I was going to crack 80, 90 potentially was to get a grad school degree.
So Danny went back to school for a master's degree in public administration.
Pause. Yeah, you're right, Lyle. Lyle said that degree was his first mistake. You're correct. So then he did what people will often do if you want to move up in your field. You have to have a master's degree. So he went back to school. He went to grad school. It's the same thing I had to do. And oftentimes for grad school, you do have to take out student loans. Unless you get some type of a scholarship. I got a partial scholarship from Northeastern, but it wasn't much. So I still had to take out more student loans.
This time, he had to take out student loans.
I had to take out $70,000 in loans, which is more than what I was making. And then right off the bat, having to pay that debt down. And so it's almost like we're basically thrown into the hole, and right away, we have to start climbing out of it.
Let's see here.
That was 8 years ago. And the promise that his college degrees would lead to a steady paycheck has not paid off.
So you're first generation, and what was the dream for you? What was the dream if you went to college?
We would escape poverty. And, you know, for immigrants that are coming to this country, that's always the thing that they tell you.
Danny now juggles 3 jobs: soccer coach, tutor, and TikTok video creator.
And that is not uncommon today. And that's what I wanted people to really see. This guy went to UVA, a top school, and he's working 3 jobs. I was working 2 jobs when I graduated from undergrad. So I know the feeling. He said he has to pay $150 a week for groceries. It looks like he's in Alexandria, Virginia. That's right outside of DC. Alexandria, Virginia is expensive. Nothing he said surprises me. Anywhere close to DC costs money, okay? Just tell yourself that. So I'm not surprised by that. But nobody goes to college so that they have to work 3 jobs. But here we are.
I have a full-time salary job since November of 2022. And it's not without trying. I've actually applied to about 100 jobs. If I'm not
100
mistaken.
jobs.
I would say about in the past year and change. And a couple of them have gone into the final round, but just unfortunately not been selected.
You want to look outside? Come here. Look outside. My life is very different than what I envisioned it would be. Easy.
Rachel Gambino and Garrett Mazzio followed the roadmap that previous generations said would spell success. Go to college, get married, work hard, buy a house, start a family.
This is the American dream, but at what cost? So we have all of those things and we appreciate every single one of those things, but we think about how we could lose those things very quickly. If one of us loses our job, we're in a not good place.
Between their college debt and monthly mortgage payment, they feel they've slipped into a lower economic class than the one they grew up in.
Do you describe yourselves as middle class?
I like to think we are.
I would say lower middle class.
Why?
Because when I think of middle class, I think about people who are able to just get up and go and do things within their means and like not extravagant things, but be able to get up and go to dinner whenever they want, or maybe take that trip, that long weekend trip. We don't have that luxury.
Rachel works at a nonprofit, Garrett as an insurance underwriter, but their paychecks barely keep pace with their $3,400 monthly mortgage payment.
Ready? I was just going to chime in here and say, as soon as they said she worked at a nonprofit, I was thinking she ain't making no money. Nonprofits don't pay much. I'm not trying to be funny, but they really don't. And it's great work, though. I know a lot of people like working with nonprofits because they really want to help people, right? But most of the positions don't pay well. It's just a reality of the situation. And they also had a baby. Now, some people are going to see this and they're going to say, oh, well, they shouldn't have had kids. I think that's the wrong mindset. They should be able to. That's the thing, guys. You should be able to buy a house. You should be able to start a family if you want to do these things. You shouldn't have to struggle to do it. That's what I want us to start. When we talk about where people are financially in this country, when we talk about people you made a bad decision, you shouldn't have gone to college, you shouldn't have done this. In the reality, in the grand scheme of things, when you talk about the American dream, you should be able to have these things. The reason why we can't is because of a lot of greed and because of the people up at the top, right? Why are these homes so expensive? Why are your grocery prices so expensive? Gas. Why? Why does it cost so much money to have a baby, to physically have a baby at the hospital? These are the kind of questions that we should ask, and we should never put blame on the people who are just trying to live the American dream. And basically, if you're looking at what the books tell you to do, they did everything by the book. But this is where we are now. So shout out to the Gen Z peeps who are looking to dive into blue collar work because it does pay more. And they're like, screw this. And we are about to do the damn thing. Let's go into some of the comments here. Shout out to Alfie for becoming a Sabby member. Give Alfie a big whoop whoop. And Alfie has a baby in the picture. Frank says college is a scam. Trade schools, however, are not. At least you know you can do something with the trade school degree. Troy says, I'm a millennial and never went to college because in my mind, I was like, why am I paying for an education? Wait, what? That's a good point. Thank you for the super chat, Troy. Education isn't a waste of time. Education system is. Pi says STEM or it ain't worth it. I often wonder if that's going to become oversaturated at some point too, because they're really pushing STEM, at least here in Massachusetts. Thank you, Nick. Tech companies only hire foreigners now. I don't know if I would put it that way. I think they hire people who have those degrees that they're looking for and have those skills that they're looking for. And a lot of times it tends to be people that are internationals. JB says, Sabby, remember the movie Accepted with Justin Long? Yes. His dad in the movie said, if you want to be somebody, you go to college. That movie was good. That movie was hilarious. Raul says, what happened to the Afro Man presidential run? I have no idea. I reached out to them to try to schedule an interview. I never heard back. I don't know if anyone has interviewed him. in reference to presidential run. Shout out to P. Smith for being a member for 7 months. Years ago, a diploma showed you were capable of completing something and investing in yourself. They really weren't necessary otherwise. That's a good point. Thank you, David. This was a South Park movie plot. Repairmen become wealthy because no one knows how to fix anything anymore. It was hilarious. Joining the Panderverse. Interesting. I have to check that out. Thank you, Troy. Invest in infrastructure equals more welders / plumbers. Tia says, Tia says, I know MIT graduates who can't get jobs for their degrees. Yeah, man. It's wild out there. I'm telling you, it is wild in those PhD streets because some of them can't get jobs either. Thank you, Juanetta. Hey, Sabby, my son got accepted at Ferris State University and Oakland. He's turning both down and he's choosing Northwestern Tech for HVAC for HVAC. Heck yeah. Tell your son I said, well done, kid. Well done. All right. Based. Making sure I got those. Did I miss one? Oh, thank you, Michael. College degrees used to mean economic security. Yeah, you're right. You are right.